Pillar number 1. Divine will and the laws of nature. Before the age of human awareness, according to the ancient Hindu text of India, Manu the All-Knowing was seated in contemplation when the great men approached him and asked him, "Please, Lord, tell us precisely and in the proper order the laws of all the social classes, as well as of those born in between." Manu proceeded to tell of a time when the universe as we know it was in a deep sleep, and the one who is beyond the range of senses brought forth the waters and took birth himself as Brahma, the grandfather of all the worlds. And then to fill the land, he created the Brahmin, the highest caste, from his mouth, the Kshatriya from his arms, the Vaishya from his thighs, and from his feet, the Shudra, the lowest of the 4 varnas, or divisions of man, millennia ago and into the fullness of time. The fragment from which each caste was formed foretold the position that each would fill and their placement in order in the caste system. From lowest to highest, bottom to top, the Shudra, the feet, the servant, the bearer of burdens, the Vaishya, the thighs, the engine, the merchant, the trader, the Kshatriya, the arms, the warrior, the protector, the ruler, and above them all, the Brahmin, the head, the mouth, the philosopher, the sage, the priest, the one nearest to the gods. The Brahmin is by law the lord of this whole creation, according to the laws of Manu. It is by the kindness of the Brahmin that other people eat. Unmentioned among the original 4 varnas were those deemed so low that they were beneath even the feet of the Shudra. They were living out the afflicted karma of the past. They were not to be touched, and some not even to be seen. Their very shadow was a pollutant. They were outside of the caste system, and thus outcasts. These were the untouchables, who would later come to be known as Dalits, the subordinate caste of India. In the words of the sacred text of the Western world, the Old Testament, there had been a great flood. The windows of heaven had opened, along with the fountains of the deep, and all of humankind was said to have descended from the 3 sons of the patriarch Noah. By divine instruction, they survived the floodwaters in an ark for more than 40 days and 40 nights, and thereafter Noah became a man of the soil. His sons were Shem, Ham, and Japheth, who would become the progenitors of all humanity. One season, Noah planted a vineyard, and he later drank of the wine of the fruit of the vineyard. The wine overtook him, and he lay uncovered inside his tent. Ham, who would become the father of a son, Canaan, happened into the tent and saw his father's nakedness, and told his 2 brothers outside. Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it across their shoulders. They walked backward into the tent and covered their father's nakedness. Their faces were turned in the other direction, so that they would not see their father unclothed. When Noah awoke from his wine and found out what Ham had done, he cursed Ham's son Canaan and the generations to follow, saying, "Cursed be Canaan, the lowest of slaves will he be to his brothers." The story of Ham's discovery of Noah's nakedness would pass down through the millennia. The sons of Shem, Ham, and Japheth spread across the continents, Shem to the east, Ham to the south, Japheth to the west, it was said. Those who decreed themselves the descendants of Japheth would hold fast to that story and translate it to their advantage. As the riches from the slave trade from Africa to the New World poured forth to the Spaniards, to the Portuguese, to the Dutch, and lastly to the English, the biblical passage would be summoned to condemn the children of Ham and to justify the kidnap and enslavement of millions of human beings and the violence against them. From the time of the Middle Ages, some interpreters of the Old Testament described Ham as bearing black skin and translated Noah's curse against him as a curse against the descendants of Ham, against all humans with dark skin, the people who the Europeans told themselves had been condemned to enslavement by God's emissary, Noah himself. They found further comfort in Leviticus, which exhorted them, "Both thy bondmen and thy bondmaids, which thou shalt have, shall be of the heathen that are round about you. Of them shall ye buy bondmen and bondmaids." This they took as further license to enslave those they considered religious heathens, to build a new country out of wilderness. And thus, a hierarchy evolved in the new world they created, one that set those with the lightest skin above those with the darkest. Those who were darkest and those who descended from those who were darkest would be assigned to the subordinate caste of America for centuries. The curse of Ham is now being executed upon his descendants. Thomas R. Cobb, a leading Confederate and defender of slavery, wrote 240 years into the era of human bondage in America. The great architect had framed them both physically and mentally to fill the sphere in which they were thrown. His wisdom and mercy combined in constituting them thus, suited to the degraded position they were destined to occupy.